This is Movies, a podcast about the active cinema. And with me today, there's no Hans. Hans is sitting this one out. It is a mini episode. I'm only going to talk for about 5 or 10 minutes. We did just wrap a live stream on the new Daily Wire feature, Lady Ballers, which I hated that fucking movie. It was a terrible movie. There's nothing funny about it whatsoever. Didn't even make me smirk. Didn't even think, oh, that's cute. You know, there's no real... To the movie itself, there are no redeeming values, okay? But check out that live stream, because all we did was talk shit about it, and we broke down how Lady Ballers was made. We wrapped that hour and a half. That's available now on YouTube, and you can check it out on patreon.com/lowres in the $5 tier. What I regretted not getting to during that live stream was my recommendation of another movie that I watched this weekend at the cinema, a much better movie, and really one of the top 5 or so films that I've seen this year, which I feel kind of silly saying about a Godzilla movie, because even when people were raving about Shin Godzilla back in 2016, I think the Japanese Academy Awards even nominated that film for Best Picture or Best Ensemble. They did something to notify its importance and how it sticks out from the rest of the films in that series. I still feel kind of silly saying, yep, this is in my top 10, which is crazy to say about the 33rd film in a franchise. I think that this movie has certainly the most heart of any movie I've seen in theaters this year, and I can't recommend it enough. It is a terrific film across the board. The director of this movie, the first step in the right direction when helming this movie was allowing the director to also write the script and handle the visual effects. And apparently that's what this guy's background is. It's his MO. He's a total dictator behind the scenes, which, you know, is a man after my own heart. I appreciate that, the auteur spirit. And this is the first movie, maybe the first monster movie, or I don't like the term kaiju and how that's been popularized. I'm not going to use that during this review, but it's the first movie of this type where the human characters are not just likable, but I think that this would have been a great film even without Godzilla involved at all. If this movie had just been a World War II slice of life film about this very cowardly, selfish lead character and trying to create this makeshift family with a girl he befriends and a baby that they pick up. So first of all, Godzilla Minus One takes place immediately following World War II, after Japan has been bombed. And it's about the recourse of that, having to reshape your nation after a tragedy. And then there's also this Godzilla that's out in the ocean. And he shows his face every so often and wreaks just as much damage as the atomic bomb. And you see it. Maybe about every 25 minutes, Godzilla pops back up and attacks in a different way. And it does not get tiresome or repetitive at any point. A big problem that I had with that 2014 American Gareth Edwards Godzilla, Aaron Taylor Johnson, is fucking boring as hell. He's boring to look at. He has no personality. He has no charisma. Terrible, terrible choice for a lead actor in any film. He peaked with Kick-Ass. Why would you cast this guy as the lead when we're much more interested in these lizard creatures? The second thing was the fights. Every single time Godzilla was getting ready to fight one of the monsters, and that's another thing too. I like Godzilla best when he's by himself and just being kind of a jerk. I think those always make for the best Godzilla movies. Not when he's squaring off against Mechagodzilla, even though I thought that was really cool when I was 3 years old. Mechagodzilla, Biolante, Godzuki, whoever. I don't like any of that. I'm really not a big fan of it. So to see a Godzilla in this movie where he's not even just, it's not like he's misunderstood. That's always been the fallback. Godzilla's just misunderstood. He's just an animal. He's also a fucking asshole in this movie. And I like that. I like that when you get a good look at his face. He's just got, I'm going to kill you. I'm not even going to eat you. I'm just going to spit you out. I'm going to make sure you're dead. It's this dog mentality that's in his eyes. It's just, I'm going to rip you to shreds. And it makes this movie stand out from a lot of the other movies. I get a lot of flack when it comes to the 1998 Godzilla film by Roland Emmerich that stars Matthew Broderick. I think that movie is great. I've always been a fan of that movie. I've been a fan of that movie since I was 7 years old. I bought all these purple Godzilla candy bars and everything, too. I was hyped for that film, and I thought it delivered. And I was so disappointed when we didn't get a sequel to it. I thought that movie was awesome. And I won't say that this is a spiritual successor to it. It's much more of a, I guess, a spiritual successor to that original one, but it has the sort of prestige that Shin Godzilla had. And it's one of the strongest films I've seen this year. And I feel silly admitting this. I feel ridiculous. And it almost, I try to avoid putting big IPs in my best of list for the year because it always looks stupid. If you see, oh, the Avengers Civil War is my number 7. I hate when people do that. It delegitimizes a lot of that person's opinions in my perspective anyway. But this Godzilla Minus One film, there are very few flaws to be found with it. The performances are excellent. The direction is great. The stakes, they just get higher and higher. It's a very whole movie that I don't think has any weak points. And if it doesn't have a weak point, it is the last 10 minutes. Maybe it just wraps itself up a little too neat for my liking anyway. But to not do the finale of the film in that way, I won't spoil it too much. I think it would undo a lot of the messaging of this movie, which is a total rejection of nihilism and the expendability of the human race, which I think that is, I think that's great. I think that's wonderful for what this type of movie is. And to see Godzilla defeated in the way that he is a treat. And that's what I would use to describe this movie. It's a treat. It was a good surprise for me because I thought everyone is raving about this movie, and a lot of the critics I dislike and don't trust, they're giving it 5 stars. They're saying it's one of the best films of the year. It made me be on edge in the movie theater and think the floor is going to drop out from beneath me at some point during this viewing. Be ready for that. Be ready for disappointment. And I was not disappointed at all. I thought this was a very great, heartwarming movie. And it's in the top 5 for the year for me so far this year. It's really going to be difficult to top what this film brought to the table as a mainstream blockbuster movie. I can't imagine any American film being able to, unfortunately, I hate to say it, I really do hate to say it, I can't imagine any American film accomplishing what this movie has accomplished. Maybe back in the 90s, maybe in the 70s or the 80s especially, I guess, but not now. To do what they did, it's a hackneyed talking point with any of these reviews you see. $15 million. Yeah, people in the American film industry are overpaid, and their work is simply not worth it. That's the reality of the situation. These people in Japan are overworked and not paid as much as they should be paid. But I think also having one domineering creative voice in that director overseeing everything is what gave us the movie we wound up getting. And if Godzilla Minus One is playing in your theater and you're curious about it at all, if you're considering this or The Creator, which was another, hey, it's the director helming this part of the and it's so cheap. Fuck that movie. Go see Godzilla Minus One. It is terrific. Okay? Well, that has been my mini episode. Join us for the next show. Hans will hopefully be on. I know he's got some very serious things on his plate right now. Pretty crazy stuff. But thank you for listening.